President Trump appealed to a lot of Americans during his campaign on free speech arguments and not suppressing speech, especially from the government. But your revocation of the green card, to many, is seen as one of the most anti-speech actions a secretary could take with his powers. How do you respond?
Yeah, I mean, when you enter this is an important point, and I'm glad you asked this question. When you come to the United States as a visitor, which is what a visa is, which is how this individual entered this country as on a visitor's visa, okay? You are here as a visitor. We can deny you that visa. We can deny you that if you tell us when you apply, hi, I'm trying to get into the United States on a student visa. I am a big supporter of Hamas, a murderous, barbaric group that kidnaps children, that rapes teenage girls, that takes hostages, that allows them to die in captivity, that returns more bodies than live hostages. If you tell us that you are in favor of a group like this, and if you tell us when you apply for your visa, and by the way, I intend to come to your country as a student and rile up all kinds of anti-Jewish student, anti-Semitic activities, I intend to shut down your universities. If you told us all these things when you applied for a visa, we would deny your visa. I hope we would. If you actually end up doing that, once you're in this country on such a visa, we will revoke it. And if you end up having a green card, not citizenship, but a green card as a result of that visa while you're here in those activities, we're going to kick you out. It's as simple as that. This is not about free speech. This is about people that don't have a right to be in the United States to begin with. No one has a right to a student visa. No one has a right to a green card, by the way. So when you apply for a student visa or any visa to enter the United States, we have a right to deny you for virtually any reason. But I think being a supporter of Hamas and coming into our universities and turning them upside down and being complicit in what are clearly crimes of vandalization, complicit in shutting down learning institutions. There are kids at these schools that can't go to class. You pay all this money to these high-priced schools that are supposed to be of great esteem, and you can't even go to class. You're afraid to go to class because these lunatics are running around with covers on their face, screaming terrifying things. If you told us that's what you intended to do when you came to America, we would have never let you in. And if you do it once you get in, we're going to revoke it and kick you out.
Okay, well, everyone, that is from Marco Rubio. My name is Kit Cabello. I'm joined here today with special guest co-host Larry Sharp. Larry, the fight for free speech seems to be ongoing and continuous. And with this trial that's taking place in your own backyard, your state, New York, that's happening in New York City.
My city.
Yeah, your city alone. This is the kind of thing that we talked about on the Post-Duopoly show yesterday with Due Dissidents and RBN. And I find myself wondering, okay, they're going after somebody with a green card because they participated in the protests. They were against the war, the crisis, the genocide in Gaza. And yet here we are now seeing somebody who has a green card, who's married to a U.S. citizen, potentially being deported because they took part in protests. Your thoughts, my friend, because this is happening and will be most likely be breaking as the days and weeks continue on with what will happen to him next. So the floor is yours, my friend.
You came out hardcore, didn't you? You weren't playing games. Okay.
No.
You came out hardcore with the real deal. And I got to tell you, a lot of people are saying, and I see it even in your chat, that he's lying. He's not lying. He's just wrong. There's a difference. Legally, he's right. He can, the law is clear. It's a terrible law. He's going back to some law from X decades ago that basically says, if you could do something that makes America feel bad in the foreign policy, we can get rid of you. So legally, he's not wrong. You could see it that way. But man, first off, you shouldn't. Second, it's clearly a bad law. Third, to the questioner's point, this is supposed to be about free speech. That's what they were always talking about, right? Don't censor people. And, this is why Elon Musk bought Twitter. I remember all the stories. I do. And so if you're going to tell me all this stuff, then you got to act the appropriate way. You have to do it the right thing if you're going to play this game. Now, if he showed up and said, look, we're totalitarianism, we hate free speech, we're going to crush everything, vote for me. And if they all did that, then I wouldn't be surprised. I'd be like, yeah, okay, this is what you said. I get it. It's what you said. He didn't. This is a bait and switch. This is because I'm mad. This is because I'm going to support Israel over anything, no matter what. Let me be clear about free speech. I don't care if you like Israel or hate Israel. I don't care if you like Hamas or hate Hamas. I don't care at all. It does not matter to me one single bit when it comes to free speech. And why do I say that? people always ask me, Larry, where's the line? And I'm going to give you the line. You can say any group of people, insert any group. This group of people is wrong. This group of people is bad. You can keep going. You can say this group of people should have no rights. You can say this group of people should not exist. You can say this group of people is not human. Insert any group, insert any country. This is legal, protected speech. You can do that. The second you say, hey, Kit, let's go get these group of people, now we have a problem. I'm
Right.
find when he said that. When did he say we have to go harm, hurt, kill, destroy, whatever these people, whoever these people are? When I see that, my eyes will be open. I go, okay, maybe now we can have a conversation. Until that's the issue, no, this is free speech, protected. He should not be. And here's the worst part of the whole thing. They basically disappeared him for a while. And not just that, he couldn't talk to his lawyers.
Exactly. And he has a right
Even
to talk
if
to his
he's a
lawyers.
bad guy.
Right.
He still deserves, even if he is a bad guy, he still deserves due process. We all deserve due process, whether you're a bad guy or not, because just because government says you're a bad guy, as you and I know, Kit, doesn't mean you are a bad guy.
Exactly. And I think we need to remember that free speech must be protected. And this is why I'm glad to have invited you on this show, because especially for this segment here alone, because he was denied for a while the ability to speak to his lawyer.
Yes.
He has been vilified in some ways. And the thing is, last I checked, innocent till proven guilty in a court of law. And if
that's what they tell us, Kit.
And until there is undeniable evidence of him saying, hey, let's grab some baseball. Again, YouTube, I want to be very clear on this. Unless there's him showing video, written, audio language that's undeniably him by his hand or his voice saying he wants to cause harm to innocent people, then why is he being detained? Why is he being held up? And this is something that has that was brought up by Keaton from Due Dissidence. When it comes down to deporting or getting away people that the Trump administration, I guess, has a problem with. First of all, there was the migrant situation here in Chicago where they were Dr. Phil. They were all going after the criminal bad guys. But what did Tom Homan say? He wants to expand that list to go after.
Yes, he does.
So now, okay, you're going after that group, the migrants. Now you're going after what? Protesters. Okay. And they have green cards. Okay. Not full citizens. So be it. But okay, once those two groups are done, U.S. citizens, does this mean I'm going to get a knock at the door? You're going to get a knock at the door from the political police? Because that's waving a lot of red flags. And as somebody who believes in free speech, you and I are part of two different political camps. But I believe in your right to speak. You believe in my
100%.
right. I've been on your show. We've had a lot of engagements here and there. But at the end of the day, if I'm calling for someone to be canceled and censored, someone should club me upside the head because I have been censored. I have been censored. And I have had other people across the political spectrum, even in the left, saying I should be deplatformed and censored or demonetized and all that stuff. And this concerns me, especially where this took place. Donald Trump with Elon Musk at the White House with all the Tesla cars.
And President Trump, there's this protest leader from Columbia University that the administration is moving to deport. He said that his arrest is going to be the first of many. How many?
I think we ought to get them all out of the country. They're troublemakers. They're agitators. They don't love our country. We ought to get them the hell out. I think that guy, we ought to get him. I heard his statements too. They were plenty bad. And I think we ought to get him the hell out of the country. I watched him. I watched tapes specifically. I watched tapes. And you can have them. Okay? You can have them. And you can have the rest of them. Let them go to school. Let them learn. Columbia used to be a good school. Now it's been overrun because of bad leadership. That's what happens. Happens to countries, and it happens to universities, and it happens to companies. And
so there you go. You have the president.
Well, look at that. He's been watching tapes, and he watched the tapes, and now everyone that he doesn't like should now be removed. Look, it's free speech for me, not for thee. That's how that works, right? Everyone gets free speech as long as you love me. That's all that matters. Just keep loving me and you get to have free speech and you're all good. No, this concept of look, I get the idea that he wants to be the America awesome. You need to love America. And I don't even mind him saying that. I don't mind the president saying you should love America, America great, America number one. I'm not mad at that at all. I'm mad at the action he is now taking. If you're that good of a leader, you should be able to hoop and holler and tell us how awesome America is every day. And we should be like, yeah, you're right. You should be able to do things that make us believe America's great. And we should be like, yeah, you're right. America's great. You should be like, say America's great, or I'm sending you out of the country. That's not the way to make America great.
Right. And what worries me is how early on he was being denied legal counsel. I actually have a video here where his lawyer does speak out. And I think it's important we do hear this. And people have also mentioned that Glenn Greenwald also had some commentary about this as well. And I think it's important that we do play that for everyone to see, because I've been told by some people that maybe I'm overreacting. I need to give this administration a chance for free speech. Perhaps there's a process. Maybe things were handled sloppily. But I remember the 4 years under Biden. And during those 4 years, hard lens media, we got very lucky. We've been gut checked so many times by the censorship, by determinations. And it is a very frightening thing, an environment to live in. And on Tuesday, I had a great conversation with Keaton and Lee Camp from Unredacted, and Keaton, who's a co-founder of Do Dissidents. And there is the ongoing continuous concern of what happens to all of our voices, because if you're going after migrants, you're going after people's green cards, well, does that mean what happens to then regular U.S. citizens? Because I remember the old mantra. First, they came after the communists, and I didn't speak out because I wasn't a communist. And they went after the laborers, and they went after this and that. And then I was all alone. So we all know how it works out. And this process already, we're already, 7 weeks into the Trump administration. And I'm having this pit in my stomach. And perhaps maybe with enough time and practice, that pit will turn into a solid diamond, like how Lee Camp had told, like, that fear, don't worry, I'll turn into a solid diamond, because that man's been censored more times than we have. And that says a lot. So let's go ahead and pull up this video here from Mahmoud's lawyer.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. As we tried to make clear in court today, what happened to Mahmoud Khalil is nothing short of extraordinary and shocking and outrageous. It should outrage anybody who believes that speech should be free in the United States of America. Mr. Khalil is a lawful permanent resident. He was coming home with his U.S. citizen wife, who was 8 months pregnant, and he was taken by U.S. government agents in retaliation, essentially, for exercising his First Amendment rights, for speaking up in defense of Palestinians in Gaza and beyond, for being critical of the U.S. government and of the Israeli government. Those are the reasons why he was targeted. Those are the reasons why he was detained. And that's the reason why the government also moved him to Louisiana, further retaliation for the fact that on the night of his arrest at home, he filed a habeas corpus petition in this court, which he also had a constitutional right to do. In retaliation for that, he was moved to Louisiana to take him away from his lawyers, to take him away from accessing this court, to take him away from his family and his partner. And so every day that Mahmoud spends in detention in Louisiana is a day too long. We and he fully intend to vindicate not just his First Amendment rights, but those of all Americans, frankly, and all lawful permanent residents, and anybody who wants to speak out. It simply cannot be the case that you can be disappeared at night off the streets of New York City simply because the current U.S. government, the current administration.
All right, so there you go.
There are so many things on that, man.
Go ahead, Larry. Take it away.
The thing is, as you know, my day job, when I'm not doing this, I spend a lot of time consulting, and I consult with defense attorneys, and I watch the government crush people all the time. It's what I do. I try to stop it to the best of my ability. It's not easy, but being a libertarian is kind of what I do. So yes. And what I've noticed is what the government will do constantly is it always tries to break your spirits, because the longer you are able to resist the government, the more work they have to do and the more chance they have to believe it or not, to actually surrender to you in some way, shape, or form. And I was talking about this, believe it or not, when my Governor Adams, got in trouble. People said, he's done. I said, no, he's not done. He will fight to the death because he knows the system. He's a former cop. he will push them to the end and make them deal with him. When they grab guys like Mahmoud, they assume he doesn't know the system. So they keep him in the dark, so he'll be afraid. They try to have him have no lawyer, so he makes a mistake and does something wrong or stupid, tells them something they can use against him. That's why they're doing it. They're doing it on purpose. Hopefully he will surrender. Because if he surrenders, they are right. His crime is the worst crime of all. And that is, his crime is heresy. Heresy is the worst crime. Worse than murder. Worse than genocide. Worse than heresy. How dare you not believe that we, those in charge, are correct and support and bend the knee? That's the worst. And because of that, that's why they punish him so much. So yes, the reason why so many people are okay with this is because in their minds, this is so far away. It's not me. It's those other bad people. I'm a citizen. I'm safe. People believe that. And they're wrong, to your point, but they believe it. They believe that, oh my God, these guys are so far away, they'll never get us. And they also believe, well, I'm also on the Trump team, so Trump would never get me, right? I'm good. He might get those crazy liberals. That's what they believe. So why would they? They don't care. They think they're safe. And Friendly Bray's correct. We are not safe. I'm not saying they're right. I'm saying it's what they believe. That's all I'm saying.
And what waves with me, though, is the shocking swift actions of this administration against this one person. And the thing is, okay,
they have to make an example. Someone's got to be the example to shut everybody else down.
Right. And if you make an example out of that person, will the protests form up? Will there be any kind of real dissidence against the politicians or policies? Because if we look at the past 8 years, including the first Trump years, and then of course the Biden-Harris administration, there were a lot of protests, especially during the final days of the first Trump term, where you had the Black Lives Matter protests, and it was abundantly clear that something like that in magnitude should never happen. And yes, was there a lot of chaos and crisis? Of course, but this is a reaction to a system that is essentially cracking. It's falling apart at the seams. And I remember even having this conversation with Daniel just a few days ago about how there seems to be this growing madness in this country of people snapping, of people being pressed upon. You know, we have these increased taxes, we have these increased laws, we have politicians that are not representing us. And when we do speak out against injustice, not only just what's happening here, but let's say it was taxation, political corruption, abuse of power, needless wars, is this going to put us under the all-seeing eye of Big Brother? And a strong argument can be made saying, yes, with the advancement of AI and artificial intelligence, with massive surveillance, the free soul, the free individual is being chopped apart. And it weighs with me a lot, because starting this show 8 years ago, I would never expect there to be such an embrace of surveillance and censorship by the establishment. But if this is the plan, then of course people will speak out. And why we're talking about this now, it's not just only about Mahmoud, it's about all of us. And just because somebody's a migrant or has a green card, you know, history has shown that once the quote unquote people on the list are gone, like the first group and second group, who's next? Then actual citizens. And this should concern a lot of Trumpers. And what weighs with me, not only with Trumpers, libertarians, or Greens, or socialists, that we all have to rally around this issue of the protection of free speech, the right to speak, the right to hold an assembly, the right to protest. And
can I grab that for a second? This is a critical piece you just brought up.
Go ahead.
When you look at the most important pieces in America right now, anti-war, free speech, anti-censorship, this is the one thing that all the third parties agree upon. The two major parties don't. But if you look at Greens, libertarians, socialists, it doesn't matter. We all agree on this. Every one of us. You've seen me on stage with Cornel West, and I'm a libertarian. You've seen me on stage, right, with RFK Jr. You see me when he was third party, right? But when everybody was third party, every third party believes this, right? Every third, doesn't matter where it is, whether it's Chase Oliver, whether it's Jill Stein, doesn't matter. You, me, This is where we're all together no matter what, which is why whenever this happens, I'm always like, everyone get together, because if we don't get together on this, to your point, my friend, we are going to lose. Single
Absolutely.
issue coalitions matter for important things.
I
That's
agree.
one of the things we talk about. So I just want to touch that piece. Keep going. I'm sorry.
No. And that's something that I think maybe, look, I'm terrible at being a protest organizer. My rage gets the better of me, but I think it's more of like, I think I have like a Jimmy Dore mindset. Like I would gladly step aside if there are other organizers who are far more solid, I would say. Because my problem is I do get angry very easily. But I would say sooner or later, Larry Sharp, you and I and maybe a couple other people have to do a sit down about maybe doing a single issue coalition about free speech.
I love the idea,
because because maybe I'd rather be over paranoid and maybe be a step ahead than be like, oh guys, we got to do this now. We got to do this now. I'd rather reach out, knock on a few doors, be like, okay, hey, listen, we're all different. We all yada yada yada. But I think that is the issue that we do have to rally around. I want to pull up this video here of Glenn Greenwald. So let's go ahead and play this video because this is very important. I want to play its full entirety.
Where I stand here today, Glenn, but I know you
and I know the volume's low on this, but I will be raising the volume once I edit this clip and share it on social media. And please share this video clip when after the live stream, because we got to let people know what's going on.
Where I stand here today, Glenn, but I know you look at this and you think many on the right have all of a sudden abandoned their defense of free speech.
Oh, there's no question that they have. I mean, this is what happens when you're actually a principled free speech advocate instead of one who only objects to censorship when it's your political allies who are being targeted, which is that a lot of people say they believe in free speech, except when it comes to the ideas they most hate, which they want silenced. I just wanted to make one crucial point, because you had said people on the far left, like Rashida Tlaib, believe that legal residents in the United States have the right of free speech. That is an indisputable proposition that the Supreme Court has for 200 years affirmed. And just imagine if that weren't the case. It would mean that if, say, like Jordan Peterson, who's not an American citizen, but is always in the United States, were to go and denounce the Biden White House could arrest him and deport him, and nobody could object on constitutional grounds because he's a foreigner. Of course, people legally in the United States have the right of free speech, and we don't want to create any kind of a framework, especially on college campuses, as the American right has been saying, where because of the argument that minority groups are endangered by certain views, Black people or trans people or whatever, we have to censor those views in order to create a safe environment. And that's exactly what so many American conservatives that have great loyalty to Israel are now doing.
I appreciate you saying that and correcting me on the longstanding policy on the United.
So that is something that I'm glad that Glenn was able to bring up, because look, Jordan Peterson, he's not a U.S. citizen. There's a couple of people who, have been critical of previous presidential administrations. They've been extremely critical. And if you want to twist words, you can say, oh, well, they're being subversive. They're undermining the government. Well, yeah, you could. But then, okay, I have been critical of Democrats and Republicans. Does that make me subversive, or does that make me a free thinker?
When your time comes, Kit, yes. Yeah, you're not.
That's
lying
the thing.
yet.
That's the thing. I think, like, my time will be coming. So if Heartlands Media isn't live, that means they got me. They got me,
you,
folks.
exactly.
They got me. Larry, go ahead. I know you wanted to add in something there.
No. The pieces that I think are critical here is the single issue coalition is important. The problem is they have us fighting each other all the time on everything, right? So, and I see it in your chat. Your chat's insulting libertarians. I'm here to support free speech. I know you don't like me, but when I'm here supporting free speech,
my audience
could just say nothing. I don't care. Look, I get. I'm a public figure. I get trashed all the time. All I'm saying is, if I'm showing up to say I'm going to support you now, you could just say nothing. You just go, that guy. Okay, well, he's here for us. Let me keep my mouth shut. He's saying some good stuff about free speech. I agree. Let me just be quiet. No, they got to say stuff. To be forward, libertarians are against socialists too. So we're guilty also. I'm not sitting here on my high horse acting like we don't do it too. But my point is, none of us should be doing that when we are together on free speech. If you and I together talking about an issue and we're debating, we should debate our issues. Absolutely. And be wrong here or that, whatever the case may be right or wrong. I'm good. But if I'm actually sitting here saying, "Hey, I'm with you," you could say nothing. Just saying, it's an option you could take while we're having this conversation. Is all I'm saying. You could do that.
It's okay. My audience is very beautiful, so I love them. They're
I
outstanding.
like your audience, that's why I'm here.
But wait. There
that's
is
why I'm
but-
teasing
but-
them.
But
I'm
there is
literally teasing them
but there
so they
is
feel
something else
bad
here.
and go, "Damn it." Yes, go ahead.
There is something else here, though, and this was shared, though, especially when it comes down to corporate media, because evidence was brought up, and for the first time ever, I can't believe I got to say, well done, CNN, for being that broken clock, because I'm going to vomit a little bit. CNN is somewhat correct here. Watch.
Every once in a while they get it right. It does happen.
He's paid by a terrorist organization that
Is
the
there
head's
evidence?
babies.
What
evidence do you have
that
of
the
any of
head's
that?
babies.
Wait.
I have evidence.
So I'm sorry, just to
That-
be clear,
that-
you're alleging that he's paid by
He's a
who?
paid protester.
By who?
Well, I didn't ask my intelligence division exactly who paid for him, but
What's
he's
the
being
evidence?
paid by
Hang on.
he's being
That's
paid.
a pretty explosive allegation. Who is he being paid by?
Can I ask you a question?
No,
you said
I
you
just
had
really
evidence.
wanna
Who is
know.
he being paid by?
He's being
don't have any
paid
evidence.
I mean-
by organizations that are anti-American, that are engaged in nefarious
Name them.
activities. I don't ask my intelligence division to
Well,
give
then don't
me.
come. Then don't
You
come
gotta
on
keep it on
national
the- you
TV
gotta
and
keep it
say
on the
on
playground
things.
now.
Don't come
God,
on
you're
national
terrible.
Do you
TV
know
and
who
say-
he's being paid by?
I don't, and I'm not
Are you
alleging
okay?
that he's
Are you
being
okay
paid.
with what he's doing?
I'm not alleging he's
Are you
being
okay
paid
with
because
that?
I don't
I'm-
know.
Are
if
you
he's
okay
being
with
paid.
anti-Semitism?
You are
Now, wait a minute. Notice how he's deflecting, because there's a couple of things here.
Totally
First of all,
deflecting.
he made a very, very bold and heavy statement
Yes, he
that
did.
he's being paid by a terrorist organization or someone's paying him
See
to
that?
protest. Okay, number one, evidence is key. Number two,
Be nice.
statements like that go before politicians or their staff members get this news and be like, oh, well, then he must be getting paid because it was said on CNN. But the thing
Yep.
that's lacking there is evidence, proof. And this is the one time where maybe CNN did its job correctly. Like, okay, well, wait a minute. You made a statement. Where's the proof and evidence for this? Is this why he was detained? Is this why Mahmoud was denied a chance to speak to his lawyer? Is this what's going to happen to other people? Somebody on CNN or Fox News or any other media platform could say, well, this person did it, and my intelligence people, because you can have an expert, you can have a pundit up there. Hold on. Expert, air quote, up
Expert,
there.
yes, exactly.
And the thing is, okay, well, is what they're saying is fact or is it fiction? Because it's not the first time corporate media lied to us. They said there were weapons of mass destruction in Iraq.
I remember that.
They said the Hunter Biden laptop story wasn't true.
Yep.
There's a whole treasure trove of things that the media has said and done, and they had experts and panelists on. And throughout the decades, I think we've witnessed a couple of these quote unquote experts being revealed as fraudulent,
Yep.
making up their credentials, that they're not
Yep.
who they say they are, and they're only there for the
Yep.
clout and the money and the check and book deals or whatever. So the thing is, when you make a statement like this, there are consequences and actions to it. Most notably, look, Mahmoud has a wife, okay? And, the wife of Mahmoud Khalil said, the Columbia student and pro-Palestinian activist who faces deportation, says she was naive to think that her husband wouldn't be detained by immigration agents. In her first public comment since her Syrian-born husband's detention Saturday, Noor Abdallah told Reuters on Thursday that just 2 days before his arrest, Khalil had asked if she knew what to do if immigration customs enforcement officers came to the door. I didn't take him seriously. Clearly, I was naive. Now he's a 30-year-old with a green card, played a major role in pro-Palestinian protests at Columbia University last year. Those protests helped spread similar action on campuses across the country. And according to a document seen by NBC News, President Donald Trump's administration said Khalil is subject to removal from the United States. So look, we have a guy who's potentially facing deportation.
Yep.
His wife is pregnant.
Also,
with a
maybe
kid.
prison.
Yes. So the thing is, there's a lot of statements being made. Do you have the evidence and proof saying he wanted to hurt people? Okay, if there's proof and evidence and audio or written documentation showing that he wants to cause harm to a person, show it then. If there's proof and evidence of him being paid as an agent, you must show it then. You cannot deny him legal services, and you cannot have him face deportation for charges that have not yet been proven yet.
But here's the issue, right?
Go ahead.
Again, if that guy honestly believes that, if he believes that he's been paid, then you might pose that as a question, maybe, but he didn't. if he was saying, well, what if he's being paid? Okay, at least it's a question. I'm still wrong, but at least it's a question. He said he's being paid. He's a paid guy. If you're going to say that, you got to say, okay, by whom? Who told you? How do you know that? And to your point, if we know it, great. But let's say even that he was. Let's say this guy was correct and he has some data. Here's the proof that he's being paid by some evil group. Great. So that means you get no due process? You still get due process. Even if the guy was, I mean, he was lying. But even if he, thank you, John is correct. Justice for all, correct. Even if the guy is correct, again, he's not, but say he was, and these guys being, paid by some bad guys. So now you get disappeared? That's not how that works. Either way, he's wrong. But here's the problem. Guys like him spend most, and I know because I do the circuit, you see me do the circuit.
Yeah.
Guys like him spend a lot of time on conservative news circuits. And on conservative news circuits, you don't get questions. All that happens is the audience and the host just nod their head and go, yeah, bad, yeah. You don't get pushback. You don't get questions. So all of a sudden it's on CNN, which is not a conservative, which is establishment versus conservative, right? Which is establishment group. So now he jumps on and it's establishment and they go, wait, no, he doesn't know what to do. He's never had to deal with that before. So what does he do?
Exactly.
He goes into, what do you hate America? Which is how it works on the conservative news circuit. That would have worked perfectly in the last 7 places that he was sitting in. So this is one of the reasons why, and Kit, you know this, you've got to have a variety of people who you talk to who are in your world so you can get what you're talking about. And you can actually not just sit there in your bubble and be like, I believe everything that my friends tell me. Yeah.
I think as a final note for this, look, I am very, very, very concerned of how this entire trial will take place. And while I am trying to update all the news feeds about this, he is still detained. I want him to be free. I
Louisiana, I think right now.
Yeah, and I do want there to be a process in which, okay, what is he guilty of? What has he done? You have to show us the proof and evidence that maybe he's an agent provocateur or that he has cause for harm. Because look, there are bad guys come in all shapes, forms, and sizes. But if this is just trying to make an example out of somebody to make people not protest, this can blow up and end quite terribly for the Trump administration. Because if you are going to be silencing, suppressing somebody's right for speech, that means everybody's going to be on the choppy block. So once the migrants and people's green cards are out of the way, who'll be made an example of?
No, I gotta give you pushback on this one, man.
Okay, go ahead.
And I don't like it. So I'm being clear. I'm what I'm gonna say I don't like, I'm not happy about, but I still think is true. Right now, because of the failures of the establishment for the past several years on handling the migrants, having no plan to fix this. A lot of the people in the cities, you see it in Chicago, I see it in New York. People are like, I'm just going to keep my mouth shut because I want this problem solved. And a lot of people are just going to let this work. Trump's got at least 6 months, maybe even a year, but at least 6 months to be terrible if he wants to. And most Americans will be like, oh, I just want my problem solved. So he's got more time than most people would have.
I've seen that, and yes, that is something that is being really discussed in America. But the problem is that further on down the road, what does that mean for the average citizen? And that's the thing that the average citizen needs to realize is that don't wait up. It'll get to you soon enough.
It will. Yeah, you're in line. You might be further down the line, but you're there. You're in that line for sure.
You're there. Don't wait up. It'll get you. I was
happy about that. I was just saying, I think that's what's happening, is what I'm saying.
Yes, exactly.